Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. There's a moment that keeps repeating in your life, and it's not an accident. A woman looks interested, then suddenly distant. Warm one day, cold the next, and you're left replaying every word you said, every pause, every text, wondering what you did wrong. That uneasy feeling in your chest right now, that's your intuition realizing something important has been missing. Before we go any deeper, I want you to pause for just 1 second. If you value clarity, emotional power, and understanding women without games or manipulation, subscribe to this channel and like this video. You're not here for surface advice, you're here for truth. Now listen closely. Most men believe attraction is about doing more, saying more, showing more, explaining more. That belief quietly destroys attraction faster than rejection ever could. Because attraction isn't built on effort alone, it's built on emotional interpretation, and most men are misinterpreting the signals right in front of them. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women don't respond to what you intend, they respond to what you signal, your tone, your timing, your emotional posture. You can say the right words and still communicate insecurity. You can be kind and still communicate neediness. You can be confident on the surface and still signal fear underneath. And women are trained from a psychological and biological level to detect that instantly. One of the biggest mistakes men make is assuming attraction is logical, that if you're consistent, available, and emotionally open, attraction should grow. But attraction isn't a reward system, it's a response system. It responds to how you feel about yourself while you're interacting with her. When you over-explain, you signal self-doubt. When you rush intimacy, you signal emotional hunger. When you seek reassurance, you signal that you don't trust your own value. None of this makes you weak as a man. It makes you human, but it does affect how attraction forms. Here's what most men never hear. Attraction begins when a woman feels emotionally safe and emotionally intrigued. Too much availability removes intrigue. Too much distance removes safety. The balance isn't something you perform, it's something you embody. If you've ever felt like women lose interest right when you start caring, it's not because caring is wrong. It's because your caring may be leaking anxiety instead of grounded presence, and that difference changes everything. Stay with me, because once you understand the signals you're sending without realizing it, your entire dating reality begins to shift. Most attraction mistakes don't happen when you're trying to impress. They happen when you're trying to secure. The moment you start acting to lock her in instead of standing firmly in who you are, your energy changes, and women feel that shift long before you say anything out loud. Here's something men are rarely told. Attraction weakens when your behavior starts asking a silent question. That question is, am I enough for you? The instant that question enters your actions, your texts, your tone, attraction begins to drain. Not because she's cruel, not because women enjoy pulling away, but because confidence cannot coexist with self-questioning. Think about how you text. When you respond instantly every time, not because you're free, but because you're anxious. When you double text to clarify something that didn't need clarification, when you soften your opinions to avoid disagreement, each of these sends a subtle signal. Your emotional center is no longer stable. You're leaning outward for validation. From a psychological perspective, attraction thrives on emotional polarity. Polarity doesn't mean dominance or control. It means emotional groundedness. When you are calm in uncertainty, steady in silence, and relaxed without reassurance, you create space for attraction to grow. When you rush to fill silence, explain yourself, or smooth every emotional edge, you collapse that space. Another common mistake is confusing honesty with emotional unloading. Vulnerability is powerful when it's integrated. It becomes unattractive when it's raw and unmanaged. Sharing your fears too early doesn't create intimacy, it creates emotional labor. A woman wants to feel connected to your strength, not responsible for stabilizing your emotions. Pay attention to this. Attraction often fades right after you start trying harder. That's not coincidence. Trying harder usually means you've stopped trusting that being yourself is enough. And when you stop trusting that, she feels it immediately. This is why some men are confused when women say, "You didn't do anything wrong." On the surface, that's true, but underneath, your emotional posture shifted. You moved from grounded presence to performance, from centered to seeking. The correction is not pulling away or playing games. The correction is returning to self-respect, slowing your reactions, letting moments breathe, allowing her curiosity to come towards you instead of chasing her comfort. Attraction isn't something you convince a woman into feeling. It's something you stop interfering with. When you remove anxiety from your behavior, attraction doesn't need effort, it needs space. And once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and you stop chasing answers from people who were never meant to validate your worth. Here's a reality that will hit hard. Women are constantly scanning for authenticity. And I don't just mean honesty in your words, I mean coherence in your energy, your actions, your tone, your timing, even the pauses between your messages. All of it speaks louder than anything you say. Attraction is literally a language of feeling, and most men are reading it wrong. Think about the last time you met someone who seemed interested at first, but slowly pulled away. You probably started analyzing every detail, your jokes, your compliments, your text timing, but what actually matters is what energy you projected during that interaction. Did you feel grounded, or were you bending to anticipate her every reaction? Did you give her space to wonder, or did you hand her the answer to everything with your every move? Here's the part most men never hear. Attraction doesn't grow because you're nice or available. It grows when you project confidence in your own world. That doesn't mean being arrogant, controlling, or dismissive. It means showing that your emotional state isn't dependent on her validation. Women are wired to respond to men who are emotionally stable, yet intriguing. It's a subtle tension, like the pull of gravity. They feel drawn to your grounded energy, even if they can't put it into words. Another huge mistake is over-explaining yourself. You text her and then follow up immediately with clarification, reasoning, or extra context. Why? Because inside, you feel the need to correct what she might perceive. But this actually signals anxiety. It screams, "I need you to approve me," and that kills attraction faster than anything else. The most attractive men don't apologize for their energy. They maintain it. They affirm without being rigid, inviting without being needy. And listen to this. Silence isn't a problem. In fact, moments of absence are your greatest asset. They create emotional tension, curiosity, and desire. Many men misinterpret silence as rejection, but here's the truth. When used correctly, silence signals strength, self-possession, and independence. It allows her to feel your value without you having to announce it. Finally, understand that attraction is like a mirror. Women reflect the emotional energy you carry. If you carry anxiety, uncertainty, or over-eagerness, that's what she absorbs. If you carry calm, focus, and playful intrigue, she can't help but respond. Your job isn't to manipulate or overthink. It's to embody the state of a man who is undeniably interesting, secure, and alive in his own world. Once you internalize this, you'll start noticing patterns you never saw before. And the power of knowing these subtle signals, it changes everything about how women perceive you. Let's be brutally honest. Most men sabotage attraction without even realizing it. They misread signals, overanalyze, and try to fix situations that don't need fixing. And every time you do this, you're leaking a message that you're unsure of your value. That uncertainty, women feel it immediately, even before words are exchanged. It's like a whisper in the air saying, "I'm not fully grounded." Here's a secret many men will never hear. The way you react is far more powerful than what you say. When she flirts, teases, or pulls away, your response determines whether attraction skyrockets or quietly fades. A calm, confident response communicates strength and magnetic presence. A frantic, desperate, or reactive response communicates insecurity. And that energy, more than your looks, your status, or your charm, decides the trajectory of every interaction. Most men also make the mistake of thinking attention equals attraction. A woman can text you, laugh at your jokes, or spend time with you, and you assume it's all interest. But attention is neutral. True attraction is a combination of attention plus emotional tension. It's that subtle pull where she wants more of you, but she can't immediately predict how you'll respond. That tension keeps her engaged. Remove it, and the spark dies, no matter how good she seems to like you. Then there's the text trap. Men send long messages to impress or clarify, assuming it's necessary to maintain interest. In reality, long messages often communicate over-eagerness. They unintentionally shift the balance of power and emotional energy. Short, deliberate communication conveys confidence. It says, "I'm here, I'm interesting, but I'm not desperate for approval." Another deadly error is over-availability. Saying yes to every plan, every late-night text, every just checking in moment, it's not generous, it's needy, and neediness destroys attraction. Women are drawn to men who have a life of their own. When your world doesn't revolve entirely around her, she instinctively feels your value and wants to step closer to see more. You also need to stop chasing emotional reactions. Chasing a reaction is a trap. Attraction thrives when you create space for her feelings without controlling them. You cannot force desire. You can only cultivate the energy that invites it. When you internalize this, your entire approach changes. You stop acting like a participant in a guessing game and start embodying a man who is undeniably interesting, secure, and alive in his own world. The harsh truth? Mistakes aren't about what you do wrong in a single moment. They're patterns. Repeating them rewires how women perceive you. Stop the patterns. Recalibrate your energy, and attraction no longer needs effort. It becomes inevitable. Here's something almost no one tells men. Attraction is not earned through effort. It's not about doing more, proving more, or explaining more. It's about being more of who you already are. A man with clarity, presence, and grounded energy. Every mistake you've made with women so far hasn't been about your actions alone. It's been about your emotional signals. Think about the last time a woman seemed distant after a strong connection. Most men assume it's because she lost interest or isn't that into you. But the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. Attraction fades when a man unknowingly emits neediness, inconsistency, or anxiety. Women sense it instinctively. Even small microsignals, a pause in tone, a rushed text, a subtle over-apology can dissolve desire in ways you might not consciously notice. One of the biggest mistakes is misunderstanding push and pull. Many men take this literally, trying to act aloof or play games to maintain interest. But push and pull is not a performance. It's a natural dynamic that occurs when you embody your own life fully and remain emotionally steady. When you are self-contained yet responsive, tension naturally forms. You don't manufacture it. It emerges from the authenticity of your presence. Another common error is over-investing too early. Men often fall into the trap of giving too much, attention, compliments, emotional support, without receiving the same energy in return. That imbalance communicates desperation, even if your intentions are pure. The result? She feels your availability, but not your value. And attraction requires the opposite. Presence with boundaries, availability with mystery, and engagement without dependency. Understanding attraction mistakes also means decoding timing. Too fast and you overwhelm her. Too slow and she loses interest. The key isn't speed, it's rhythm. A confident man calibrates his energy based on his own state, not hers. He moves in harmony with life, not reaction. This rhythm creates magnetic pull without manipulation. Finally, stop thinking you need to fix her reactions or interpret every signal perfectly. Women are complex, yes, but attraction is not about solving them. It's about being a man who naturally generates emotional safety and intrigue simultaneously. When you embody that state, attraction doesn't require overthinking, chasing, or strategizing. It becomes effortless. Once you grasp this, you'll see every previous misstep in a new light. Every rejection, every fade out, every moment of confusion wasn't a reflection of your worth. It was a lesson in your energy, timing, and emotional posture. Fix those, and you stop repeating mistakes. You start attracting effortlessly. Here's a truth most men never hear. Attraction is invisible until you stop trying to make it visible. The moment you consciously chase it, overanalyze it, or force responses, you destroy it. Women don't fall for effort, they fall for presence. They respond to a man who is steady, confident, and untouchably grounded, even in uncertainty. That energy is magnetic because it's rare. Most men confuse attention with desire. A woman can laugh at your jokes, reply quickly, or flirt playfully, and you assume she's deeply interested. But desire is emotional, not transactional. It's about how she feels in your presence, not the literal words exchanged. If she feels tension, intrigue, or challenge in a safe way, attraction grows. If she feels anxiety, pressure, or neediness, attraction dwindles, no matter how nice or charming you are. Here's another mistake: oversharing too early. Vulnerability is powerful, but only when it's timed and grounded. Unmanaged vulnerability, where you unload doubts, fears, or over-explanations, communicates instability. Women crave connection, but they also crave a man whose emotional state doesn't depend on their approval. That balance, openness with groundedness, is what creates deep, lasting attraction. Many men also underestimate the importance of emotional polarity. Polarity isn't about control or dominance, it's about contrast. When your energy is stable, confident, and playful, it naturally draws her in. When your energy becomes reactive, anxious, or overeager, it pushes her away. Women instinctively respond to polarity because it signals security and vitality. Without it, even the most physically attractive man can feel invisible. Pay attention to subtle cues, how she mirrors your tone, matches your energy, or reacts to pauses. These microsignals are more revealing than words. Men who misread them usually either overcommit or overcompensate, unknowingly weakening attraction. Finally, stop seeking validation through her reactions. Attraction thrives when it's independent of approval. When you maintain calm, curiosity, and playful intrigue, you allow desire to grow naturally. You stop trying to convince her to feel something, and she begins to feel it anyway. Once you internalize this, every interaction changes. Women respond not to what you say or do, they respond to who you are being. And the difference between repeating mistakes and becoming magnetic lies entirely in mastering that internal state. Here's the final truth. Most men avoid facing. Attraction mistakes aren't about the other person. They're about you. Every over-text, every over-explained emotion, every attempt to control her reactions stems from a single place: uncertainty in your own value. When you own your worth, attraction stops being a puzzle. It becomes a natural byproduct of your presence. Let's strip it down. Women are wired to notice energy first, words second. That means your mindset, your confidence, your emotional posture, how you carry yourself, speaks louder than anything you text, say, or do. If you are grounded, secure, and engaged in your own life, she feels that magnetism. If you are reactive, anxious, or needy, she senses that too, and it kills desire before it even has a chance to form. One of the most overlooked mistakes is impatience. Men try to accelerate intimacy, expecting her attraction to match their urgency. But attraction operates on its own rhythm. Pushing it, explaining it, or manipulating it will backfire. The more you try to control it, the more it slips away. Instead, master patience. Not passive waiting, but active presence. Show that your life, your energy, and your emotions are complete, whether she responds or not. Another subtle trap is confusing kindness with availability. Being a good man doesn't mean bending to satisfy every whim or expectation. It means being consistent in your values, your energy, and your boundaries. Women are drawn to men who have standards they respect, not just attention they can access at will. That distinction alone can transform the way she experiences you. And here's the final, often shocking insight. Attraction is less about what you do and more about what you stop doing. Stop overanalyzing texts. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop chasing reactions. Stop leaking insecurity. Stop assuming that effort alone creates desire. When you remove these mistakes, attraction doesn't just return, it amplifies. It becomes effortless, undeniable, and natural. Remember, the women who pull away aren't rejecting you. They're reflecting the energy you present. Stop trying to control outcomes. Stop performing for approval and start mastering your own emotional state. That is the magnetic code men rarely learn. If you integrate these truths, everything changes. Women notice the difference immediately. Conversations deepen, interactions become playful yet charged, and attraction grows without manipulation. You don't have to guess, overcompensate, or plead. You simply exist as the man who is fully present, fully grounded, and unapologetically magnetic. That is the secret behind every attraction mistake and the way to never